All right, so as we go through the notes, you want to make sure that you fill in your blanks and you have the correct information for your notes. If your back is facing the screen, then you want to make sure you turn your body so that you're facing it where you can see it. All right. Yes, Roger Lynn. Can you go? Is it echo? All right. Can you go ahead and read us the first paragraph and fill in the blanks with the correct information? Read it loud.
Weather patterns are determined by winds carrying air masses. Air masses originate from different source regions, each with their own temperature. Oh,
That's a comma.
Pressure, moisture, characteristics.
So this first paragraph just basically explains to you what you're going to be discussing and talking about as you go through the rest of your notes. One of the major things in the notes that we're discussing are air masses characteristics. What are the air masses characteristics? Everyone. Temperature and humidity, and you have them on your papers here. Now, think about, raise your hand and tell me what temperature is, and do not try to give me a scientific term or anything like that. Just, you know what temperature is. You've been knowing what temperature is since the 2nd grade. What's temperature? Malik. How hot or cold it is. Now, let's take it up a notch. Because we're talking about temperature when it comes to weather, we're not just talking about temperature when it comes to your hot chocolate that you may drink on a cold day, or your soda or your Gatorade that you want to be cold for a game. We're talking about temperature when it comes to weather. So when he says how hot or cold it is, what determines how hot or cold it is outside? No. Stop. What is going to be the determinant factor? What is the thing that makes it hot or it be cold? The sun. So temperature is actually, when we're talking about weather, the amount of solar, which is the sun, radiation. So how much sun is beaming in that area is going to determine the temperature. If it's not a lot of sun, that temperature is going to be cooler. If it is a lot of sun, it's going to be warmer. Erica, you got a space over here.
I know. I was gonna say, so we wasn't supposed to write anything like about the temperature affecting air mass.
You could have, but this is the major point that I want you to know. I'm only going to go over the major points. All right. For humidity, what is humidity? Quinzel, try it again. The amount of moisture or water vapor. Good. That's all you need to have. Spelled that wrong. Water vapor or moisture in the air. Your window has passed. You need this information. All right. Moving on to the 4 major types of air masses. We have continental, marine. What's another word for continental? Land. Because talking about the continents. What's another word for marine? Water. But what is our major, or what are our major waters? Oceans. So you will see these words interchangeably. You may see it described as the ocean air mass or the land air mass as opposed to continental or marine. Now, looking at this chart, you were to document characteristics for these different air masses, and some of them are shared characteristics. So, for instance, tropical and continental have shared characteristics. What are they? Raise your hand. Go ahead, Naya. Warm and dry. You didn't have to, because that's just saying continental and tropical, but you see it in the chart together. What about marine and tropical, Troy? Warm and wet. Brendan, for polar and continental. Cool or cold and dry. Because cool is a relative word. What's cool to you may be cold to me. So cool just means it's not warm. What about marine and polar? Erica? Cool and wet. Any questions? In this area here, you were to jot down some important information. You probably have quite a few pieces of information, but the major things that I did want you to get here is the sun rays, and I'm going to abbreviate, hit straight on the what? On the equator. Raise your hand if you got that portion. That was important. Good, Erica. Good, Rogerlyn. It hit straight on the equator. Good job, Mahogany. Oh, Naya. You just got it now because I just gave it to you. All right. The fact that the sun rays hit straight on the equator, that's going to be the warmest part, correct? Yes. But the earth tilts. So because the earth tilts, what? Give me some more information.
It makes the poles colder.
Good. Raise your hand if you got that. Good. Good job, everyone. Because the earth is tilted, if you already wrote it, don't write it again. The poles are colder. Yes.
And tropical zones get direct sun, so they stay warm.
Yes, because they are closer to that area. But these are the major points that I want to pull, because if I showed you a picture or gave you the earth and I actually labeled it, you should be able to tell me the areas closer to the poles are colder and the areas closer to the equator is warmer. Any questions about that? All right, then looking at your paper, talking about the cold fronts and the warm fronts. Gentlemen, quit playing. The paragraph here is going to help us understand what it is that we're going to be talking about when we're talking about all of these fronts. What thing are we talking about? And read me the paragraph and fill it in the correct words. Armel. Read it to us so that maybe when you're reading it, you'll be able to develop an answer.
Air masses collide along the front, the temperatures, pressures, and humidities of each mass interact to create changing
weather conditions. Very good. Way to use your context clues. So now we're going to look at the cold fronts and the pressure areas and the warm front and the occluded and stationary fronts. Notice that the cold front is linked to what? High pressure area. So that's the first thing we're going to discuss. Between red and blue, which one should I use for cold? Blue, obviously. All right. I don't have the words in my box because I want to have a large area for you all to see, but you do have the words there. The first thing that I'm going to cover is the symbol. What's the symbol for a cold front? You forgot. You're just doing it. Dre. You don't know? You didn't get to that part? Quinzel. It's a line, a bold line. And it does have your triangles. Now, these triangles could be going up or they could all be going down. So as long as you see a line with the triangles, that's going to symbolize the cold front. Describe a cold front to me. Malik.
something that moves into an area in the higher, moves into an area, the heavier, cool air.
Naya. So basically, your cold air replaces warm air. And I'll put the word mass here. So your cold air masses replace warm air mass. Is your warm air mass stable or unstable? It's unstable. What does the word stable mean? Sturdy. Means in place, sturdy. The fact that it can be replaced by cold air must mean that it's
Unstable.
unstable. Anything that's replaceable is unstable. So therefore, the warm air masses are unstable. What is the weather condition? And so when you watch the news and they say there's a cold air front, what type of weather are you looking for, Madison? Clear skies and cooler temperatures. Some more information. No, why do you keep saying me and never mind? Malik.
Maybe precipitation.
Precipitation. Give me some more information, Quinzel. Not, well, in some cases. All right. The temperature change is going to be an obvious temperature change for one. You quickly recognize that it's gotten colder. An obvious temperature change with it being colder. There are going to be clouds, possible precipitation. And you could have some showers and thunderstorms, which is evident when I say precipitation. But the temperature is going to have an obvious drop. Looking at your high pressure, what's the symbol for high pressure? Everyone. H. I know we didn't do cold front yet. Our warm front. We're doing high pressure because it's linked to cold fronts. Now describe the high pressure area for me. Remember, pressure means, look at me first. Listen for a second. Pressure means how a space is being utilized. So it means the way things are moving within a space. For example, if these walls were to close in this room, is that high or low pressure? That's high pressure, and all of us would begin to get closer or further apart.
Closer.
We would begin to get closer apart. Closer together, and it would be a serious problem, obviously. If the walls started spreading out, so that means my doors are opening, these walls are starting to knock down, is that pressure high or low? That's low pressure, and we would begin to be closer together or spread apart. Okay, so now taking a look at this, first let's think this through for just a moment to describe it. The air particles in high pressure, are they going to come closer together or move further apart?
Closer together.
Closer together. Now let's think a little bit further. The fact that they're becoming closer together and they're coming more packed together, is it cold or warm out? It is cold. Those particles are compacting. Think about water. When you put water into the freezer, those particles start to come closer together and the ice forms, which is a cold substance. All right? So your cold air particles do they move faster or slower?
Slower.
They're slower because they're cold. So they move slower. And pack closer together. The fact that they're packing closer together, that means they're creating some type of maybe a solid substance, but they're just coming closer together. Is it going to be more dense or less dense?
More dense.
More dense. It's going to be denser air. So will it sink or rise?
Sink.
It will sink. Very good. What's the weather? Malik.
Clear skies and fair weather.
Yes, it's going to definitely be cold, clear skies, and fair. When we say fair, what we mean here is not fair like it's just all nice and peachy outside. Fair weather just means that there's no blizzards, there's no major thunderstorms, things of that nature, because it's just fair. It's like it's a normal cold day. Notice that here it does say with the cold front you could have showers and thunderstorms, but it does occur during high pressure. This doesn't mean that you're not going to get showers and thunderstorms in a high pressure situation. It just means that these are different scenarios of the type of weather that you can have. Is that understood? Okay. All right, let's now move and look at warm front. And obviously I'm going to write in
red.
red. He said pen. So for the warm front, what does the symbol look like? Erica.
A straight line with half circle.
Straight line would have circles. When you see this, they're talking about a warm front. What is the description of a warm front, Jamil? Stop, Kendra. Look at your description for cold front and now come up with the description for warm front. Help us out, Armel.
Warm air packs the place of the cold air.
Exactly.
Drop zone.
What's the weather like in a warm front? Naya, don't say never mind. You could have some precipitation. Snow is precipitation. Notice if it's warmer air, that means that that air is going to, remember what happens when the air is warm. What happens to the water that's on the ground? It rises. That's called what? Evaporation, which means that in the air you're going to have moist, so it's going to be humid. And the fact that it's humid, that it could rise and gain up to form clouds, which then could form precipitation. That's why you have precipitation there. It is going to be noticeably warmer. Notice, no, it's not. It's going to be noticeably warmer. Now, what you want to realize is these are the type of days that we've been having. The other day it was very, very, very cloudy outside. If you were to just look outside and make your judgment on what the weather was just by looking, then you'd be like, it's kind of cold, but you went out there and realized it was actually warm. That was actually the day before yesterday. Looking down, yeah, I think like outside today, I haven't been out there since this morning, but based on what I've seen, it looks like it's probably a warm front today. Good. Notice it's linked to low pressure. What is the symbol for low pressure?
L.
Capital L. Now remember, low pressure means that the area is becoming more open. So the particles are going to begin to spread apart. So warm air particles spread apart. Those warm air particles that are spreading apart, remember it's warm, so is it going to sink or rise? It's going to rise. And then I'm going to really quickly go over the last two. Oh, the weather for low pressure is going to be warm, wet, with clouds. It could be rainy, precipitations, or it could be humid out. Lastly, looking at occluded front, I did not tell you to draw the symbol, but I do want you to draw it. It is basically a mixture of the both. So you're going to have it is, my bad. Thank you. So you have warm, cold, and what an occluded one is, there is a, the cold air is catching up to the warm air. And it creates spiraling winds. Yes. The temperature is, the weather is warm and it's hidden by cold. Now, the stationary one, I did not tell you to draw those, but that is actually going to look like this. And with the stationary front, the two air fronts are battling. Probably spelled battling wrong, but spell it right. The weather is going to be gray skies. And then lastly, aside from differences in pressure between cold and warm air masses, another factor that drives air masses, one second guys, don't move, that does not dismiss you, I do, is the movement in global wind direction. This moves, the mid-latitude regions move from west to east, and the other regions move from east to west. Now, you do have a quiz on Friday. Do not start packing up in the middle of me talking. That is rude. You do have a major quiz on Friday. You do need to know your fronts. You need to know your pressures, the type of weather that is created with those, your symbols. And we will have something that we will do tomorrow to assist you in your studies, but you do need to study your notes.